All right, welcome back, entrepreneurs out there, to another episode of Small Business Chronicles. And I have got a treat for you today because I have not only one guest, but two. I am actually speaking with the CEO and separately the founder of 911 Restorations. And so my guests today are they are in an industry that I really have a lot of respect for because as a lot of you guys that listen know, I come from the real estate industry, and I can tell you that I've had I've walked into houses and seen it raining indoors. I've had to deal with fires. I've had to deal with you name it, and so it's always super stressful if you have restoration needs for your home. So it's something that I really value, and I'm glad that there's professionals like our guest today to take care of those needs. So my guests today are Miri Offir and Idan Shpizear, and I'm excited to have the conversation. So we'll jump right in. Okay, Idan, how did I do on pronunciations? Did I get everything
You
correct?
did great. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
impressed.
awesome. Yeah, hey, that's I practiced, so ahead of time before we push play, so we're all good. So how are you guys today?
We're great.
Doing great.
Yeah, excited to be here with you and yeah, share a story.
Yeah. So, we were kind of talking prior to the show. I mean, you guys have had a massive amount of growth, right? And so you dealt with just about every transition that you could possibly have within business because you started as, a single location, you went the franchise route, now to multiple locations, and at every stage of growth, there's challenges and there's opportunities alike, right? So, I would love to chat about some of those transitions, but first I want to start with a little bit of background. So, Don, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about how you founded the company and why you're so passionate for helping with restoration needs that are out there.
Yeah, of course. So as you hear my accent, I'm not from here originally. I got to the United States because of the all the Hollywood movies that we saw. That money grows on the tree. Every house comes with a pool. America, right? So that's what brought us here. Somebody was nice enough to give us a job as a carpet cleaner for the first year. Through the carpet cleaning, we discovered the world of the water damage. And what got us really excited about it, first we saw the potential, right? We see the blowers, the equipment that we can use, and the help, and what it really means to people to show up and help them deal with it. But the second part that we recognize is really seeing that a lot of the companies out there doesn't really pay attention to the customer emotional disaster. And we saw it as an opportunity. We said, how can we build a company that not only do an amazing work and great restoration and provide people with a fresh start for the physical damage, but also really paying attention to what they're going through as people, right? The devastation of, you wake up in the morning and your house is flooded. So that was the first recognition of, wow, there is an opportunity here to create a unique customer experience. Kind of fast forward around 2003, 2004, we also discovered Google AdWords that we can generate leads through online lead generation. So connecting both of them, that really helped us scale the company pretty fast. We went from about $250,000 a year in revenue to over $3 million a year in less than a year and a half. Now, we didn't have any business background. It's not something that we study. It's more of, we're excited. We want to build something. We want to kind of create our own future. So let's jump to it and push as hard as we can. And fast forward, kind of when Katrina happened at the end of 2005, it was a devastation. I mean, it was terrible to see, but we were happy that we were able to be there for a lot of people. But at the same time, we met with a lot of restoration contractors, and we recognized that most of the people are very passionate about the trade itself. But there are, as we talked about the stages of growth, I recognize then that a lot of them are stuck at a certain size. Most of the business owners are generating anywhere between $200,000 to $400,000 in revenue, and we were able to grow to $3 million, and we barely speak the language. And that really opened our eyes to, okay, if we figure out how to generate leads, if we understand sales and strategy, how can we create a collaboration with other restoration contractors? And that's what brought us to the idea of a franchise. And fast forward to today, now we have close to 300 units sold around the US, and we're developing in Canada and on and on. Yeah, so
I mean, it's a phenomenal story. It really is, and I love that you highlighted the customer aspect of that, right? Because what I find a lot with home services, right, is they are absolutely passionate about their trade. You're correct, but they don't always think about the customer and the customer sales cycle or the customer's emotional state in whatever that is, right? And that really is the difference between just being a service provider and providing an experience, and that's clearly worked well for your company because it's led to some massive growth along with some good strategies along the way, right? So Miri, where did you come in as CEO? Tell us a little bit about your introduction into the company and your background.
So I came to the US, I got married, and it was my husband's dream to come here because money grows on the trees and the houses and the pools and all that good stuff. I didn't want to come here at all, but I did. I'm the youngest out of four, very spoiled, but, got married and said, I'm going to follow my husband. Um, and then I met Idan. We went to a barbecue and, Idan was there and I was, believe it or not, very shy and didn't really speak with anyone. And I was kind of sitting at the corner, and I didn't have a job at the time. And Idan just saw me, and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And I said, "Miri." And he said, "Are you looking for a job?" And I said, "Yes." And here we are. So when I met Idan, it was just one branch back then. They did everything: carpet cleaning, handyman, like you name it, we did it back then. And whatever he needed, I did. So started really as a receptionist, office manager, and then at some point they needed someone to do payroll. So pretty much every role, marketing, whatever that is, I just did it. I was very grateful, for the opportunity to work with them. And then, at some point, I got divorced. I had two kids, so I found myself as a single mom. Here in the U.S., no family, and my light, I think the thing that kind of kept me going is 911 restoration and the partnership with Idan. And then I just kept growing in the company. As Idan said, one of the biggest needs or the biggest discovery for us was Google at the time. So we founded partnership with them. That was back in 2007, right when we started franchising. Idan and I, we laugh on the story all the time because in order to have the Google partnership, you need to do an exam, but you need to have two people from the same company doing it. So I did it and I got 92, and then I did it for Idan and he got 97. So he got a higher score than me. And
That's
then
amazing.
so then found myself, head of the marketing and, established that lead generation and in-house marketing team. From there to customer service, through accounting, franchise operation, a franchise consultant, pretty much went through every aspect of the business, collaborated with hundreds of franchises until today. And found myself today very grateful to be the head of this amazing operation and really excited to give to the company that gave me so much on a personal level.
That is phenomenal. Thank you for sharing your story there. And give us a sense of scale. I mean, I know you'd mentioned a number of locations, but how large is your team? I mean, what's your employee count currently, and where are you guys at today?
So for HQ, we're at about 40 employees for headquarters. Overall, system-wide, we're between 1,800 to 2,000 throughout the US and Canada.
That's incredible. So, I mean,
Yeah.
just to think about, the opportunity that's created, right? I mean, because we're talking to you too, but you have two thousand opportunity or 2,000 legacies, right? That you can impact right across the brand and across all of what you've built. I mean, that's got to be encouraging to know that. You came here for opportunity, and not only did you create that for yourself, but you've also created a world where other people can have that same opportunity. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So my why, and I think that's what kind of gets me throughout every day is when there are challenges, is to inspire people and to be open and see the other people and see the other side, right? to build, communities that are founded based on great collaboration and empathy. I think it's so much needed in the world, especially these days. And I'm so happy and grateful that I have this opportunity as, the head of this amazing organization. And to your point, it starts with the 2,000 people that are part of organization, but it's also the people that we interact with. It's the customers, right? Whether if it's homeowners or mothers or business owners. So for us, every engagement with each individual, it's an opportunity to spread that goodness, right? In the world, and have that spark of unity, and, things can be done in a different manner. So that's my why and why I do what I do.
Love it. Love it. And, it's clear that you're customer focused, right? So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Mary. But I would love to, kind of take a step back and talk about some of those tough transitions. So as you think about how your company has grown from one location to many, what would you say were the toughest transitions that you've seen in that growth?
Toughest transition. I think the first thing is the support team, right? And on behalf of HQ, to our franchisees. And also for us as a franchisor, right? From transitioning to a single unit business to a multi-unit business, right? It's like the whole structure, because it's totally different strategy. It's different plan. You have to look at things differently. It's different mindset. It's a whole different thing, right? So the whole approach, and there was a lot of learning experience throughout that, right? So either, so that transition between a one unit business through to be a franchise, right? Organization, that's a huge thing, right? Budgeting, right? Projecting income, expenses, like these are things that as a small business owner, you don't really emphasize on, right? You have your bank account and you just look at that. The team, right? To plan for growth and make sure that we have the right team in place. Not only the right team in place, but that we know what roles are essential, but also find people that are passionate about what they do and would be the perfect fit for what's needed, right? And it's something that we constantly evaluate as we meet certain milestone, growth.
Well, it's tough. It's tough to transfer a vision to someone else, right? Especially if you're talking about the franchise space, right? Because you have these franchisees that are here and they're wanting to have a certain level of autonomy, but they also have to still fit in with the vision that you have and the reputation that you've already built for your company, right? Being customer first, being focused on the client experience, on top of just building that service out. So how do you cascade that down? What does it look like to successfully find and recruit and maintain other business owners or franchisees that are willing to cast that same vision?
So it's a topic that Idan and I speak about a lot, right? Who is the perfect candidate? So it will be like the perfect fit. And we've went through a long journey trying to figure that out. And we just realized, at some point that we don't know, right? But we can do the best that we can during the process when we get to know them, right? Before they onboard with us. So obviously we do the discovery day, and there's a few things that we're looking for when we meet an individual, right? And we do that, first interview. The biggest thing for us is obviously personality, right? We need someone that is a team player, that wants to work with a team, and someone that really wants to do something that is meaningful, right? Someone that, empathy and the vision that we share, that we have the same core values, right? Which is transparency and honesty and care and human, and wants to listen and open. So that's the big thing for us, when we're at the beginning of that onboarding cycle. And if we feel that there's a match there, right, and obviously we're going to proceed with the onboarding. So I think that the personality always been a big thing for us, especially with the big mission that we have.
I love that, and I love talking to both of you because of the scale that you have. People might be listening if they're a solo operation, or if they're just a single location, or maybe two or three, and think that it doesn't apply to them. But it, it absolutely does, right? Because the systems that work at scale for your business, if you shrink those down, are the same things that you need to run a really successful business, even if it's just one location, right? You still
Yeah.
have to have that culture in mind. You have to hire for the right people. You have to make sure that the vision is there. So, Adon, I'm curious about your perspective. At what point in growth, as a founder, do you believe you faced the most challenges? Was it a particular dollar amount of revenue? Was it a number of locations? Was it an operational challenge that came up? What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so it's different. So I don't know if which challenge is bigger than the other one. It's just very clear today because of our journey and working with many other business owners is really seeing that when you operate a business between 0 to 300,000, 400,000, you can get around with not really having all the right things in place, right? So you're not really going to have job description because you maybe have 2, 3 other people working with you. You maybe not going to have very clear processes because you're the owner, you're running around, you're the owner, you're the salesman, you're the secretary, you're also sometimes will do the work. So it's really built based on what you have in your head. I mean, I remember we had so many conversations. Me and Miri is like, where is the information? Oh, it's in my head. Don't worry, I got it. And at one point, it's like, okay, now we need to have it on paper. It needs to get out of our head so we can share it with other people. Right. So it's this 300,000-400,000 that you can get around. I mean, you can still go do the work, collect the funds, kind of work with 2, 3 other people, and you don't have to have all these processes. But when you're trying to jump from 300,000-400,000 to 6, 7, or $1 million, this is where a lot of business owners are having difficulties. And we went through the same thing in a way, and we grew our business really fast from 250 to 3 million. And I think we didn't have any business background. Now, with this massive growth and not having the right things in place, maybe you grow in revenue, but you're not necessarily growing in profit, right? And that's where a lot of business owners, and we still have this conversation today, saying, look, I got my business to do 300,000, 400,000, I made 100,000 or 150,000 a year. Now I grew my business to $1 million a year, but I'm not making any profit, and I'm having so much headache, and everybody is driving me crazy. It doesn't worth it, so I'm going to scale back to 300,000, 400,000. Right? What they're missing is the processes and the different building blocks that you need to have in place to grow from 300,000, 400,000 to $1 million. This is the next step in your growth, right? And this is I look at it in two ways. One, there is the operational processes that you need to implement. If it's job description, if it's an accountability, if how do I meet with my team, how do I set up the meeting, what's the follow-up after the meeting, right? A lot of people don't even think about it. And the other part is the mindset of the owner, right? How can I go from a place that I'm controlling my business by doing everything to I can control my business by having more insight, by looking at data. This is a transition that a lot of business owners are having a hard time with. So even today, when we work with a new business owner, while he's still doing everything in the business, we encourage him to look at the business as a system. So even if you're doing everything as a business owner, you're the marketer, you're the salesperson, you're everything, start looking at it as a system and not you're doing everything. So start recognizing, oh, okay, how much time are you putting in business development? How much efforts? What's the return on investment? What is your conversion? How much money you spend on marketing? So in his mind, we're already starting kind of to put the building blocks of it's a system, even though you're doing everything, right? And now we're helping and we're saying, okay, what is your strength and what is your weaknesses? And if your strengths are business development, if your strengths are sales, what will happen if you're going to start putting more efforts around business development and sales, and then you bring somebody to help you that he have his strength on the operation side, right? So we're not jumping from the owner and 2 people into 10 people. Usually it doesn't happen that way. But it starts with what is my strength? I want to spend more time and doubling down on my strength and then find somebody that help me with my weaknesses. So if in this case is operation, right? So we slowly, we taking the business owner through this process, right? So a lot of people, when they're looking at the franchise opportunity or looking to work with a consultant or anything else, most people are, okay, I just need more lead, just give me more business. In reality, it's not necessarily only that. right, is going through the steps of really setting up the right system, processes, culture, and people, so I can go from 300,000, 400,000 to 1 million, right? And this is just one example, and I'm keep using because this is where most businesses get stuck. It's the same thing in the franchise world. Most of the franchisors out there, and I think the number is 90% of franchisors don't have more than 25 locations, right? It's the same story. They're making this first step without really understanding what it means to be a franchise. What is the value that I need to add today in the franchise space compared to the value that I added when I was a restoration company or a plumbing company or anything else, right? Is that shift in mindset and really understand. I mean, I'm sure you hear it from me and Miri. It's very mission driven for us. Like we came up with this idea of we want to be the fresh start, right? And we looked at the fresh start, not necessarily just to be consumer focused. We wanted to come up with something that will have an impact on our team, right? So if our team really understand and feel the culture and what we stand for and what is the value that we want to add to the world around us, that will bleed to our franchisees. And from our franchisees, it will bleed into the communities that they are in. So circle back to the question that you asked before, how do we keep this culture? First of all, as an owner, as a CEO, and all the executive, everybody in the company need to embody it, right? You cannot just say, yes, we are the fresh start, and then make decisions that are not aligned with the idea of the fresh start. So there is a room, there's a place of alignment. And then once your team is embodying it, then the customers feel it, franchisees and communities and on and on. So it's not an easy thing to do, but understanding that is very, very important. And when you are a mission driven, right, for us is not just building a business, it's really making sure that we're adding value. We really care if a mom wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and our house is flooded and she needs to get our kids to school and on and on and on. Yes, there's a process that we need to follow, but we understand also that she's going through an emotional disaster. She have the thing that she want to get done today. And how can we be there as a company helping her achieve what she need to achieve while we can do what we can do and need to do? Make sense?
There's so much value in what you said there, Idan. I mean, you talked about being mission focused, and I think that translates to every industry. But I also want to highlight something you mentioned there too, because you talked about leads not being the be all end all, right? And actually, it mattering what the rest of the process is, what your follow up process is, and I can tell you I've worked with a lot of salespeople. I've had a lot of salespeople in business. And the number one thing they usually say is, "Oh, well, they need more leads, or they're bad leads," right? I mean, and look, I could give you you pick a number, I'll give you that number of leads, right? That's not the hard part. The hard part is actually taking that and nurturing it and making sure that you're filtering it and finding the people that you are meant to serve with whatever it is that you do. Right.
Yeah.
So I love that you highlighted that, because that is the difference between successful and scalable businesses and those that hit that ceiling, as you mentioned, of, maybe they're at that, 100, 200, 300,000 mark and they can't get above it. And it's because, more leads isn't necessarily the answer. Actually, it's the opposite. Some leads, I will say this, and maybe you have this experience with some of your locations, that can actually be a step backwards, right? Because if you're getting the wrong number and all the time and effort you're spending on trying to convert the wrong conversations, it can be a total time waste.
Absolutely. I mean, we there's the simplest thing in the book is, there is a certain amount of leads that you need to give a business or a salesperson. When you give them too many leads, his ratio will go down. The leads will not going to get enough attention, right? Every client just become another meeting, right? And you lose the culture, you lose the impact, right? So even something as simple as that is understanding what is the ratio, what is the customer experience, and paying attention to all of it. Otherwise, as you said, just people just running around, right? Making every meeting too short, not giving enough attention, lack of follow-up, bringing in the wrong clients, then not be able to provide the right level of service, And then that create, bad reputation, lack of follow-up. I mean, you basically not adding the value that you need to have, right? And that's another learning part for us. When we came here with no money and building the business, is of course we have no choice. We have to make money, right? So let's close deals. We need to bring money home because otherwise we cannot eat and we cannot pay rent. But pretty fast you understand that to really build something meaningful, you need to have a long-term thinking. It's not just about right now. It's myself as well. I mean, so often we way overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year, and then we way underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. Right.
Totally
and
true.
that put us in a position that we always like trying to go. It's all now. And we're disappointed because we are trying to overachieve. And instead of just having a long-term way of looking at the business and saying, okay, what is my North Star? What is it that I'm really trying to achieve here? How can I build it? And by building a healthy business, right? And now looking at the next 10 years. And look, if you can grow your business 20-25% year over year, and you can do it for 10 years, you're going to be so successful, right? So, but people don't look at it this way. They try to get everything done in the first year. And that usually will hurt the business.
And let's be honest, even if they manage to have the success in that first year, they'll probably burn themselves out, right?
Yeah.
And then they're not going to be in a position to have the same kind of drive for year two, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love the way you put that North Star, right? Find your North Star. I think that's
Yeah.
something that really resonates with me and should with anybody that's in business. Whatever that is, find it, align to it, attune to it. Make sure that you
Yeah.
have that, in your sights, because it's so easy to get away from that and get bogged down by being in the business, right?
Yeah. And then, look, another big part of it, and that's a big thing that I wish for any business owner, any person really, it's find fulfillment in what you do. Right. So in the beginning, it's all about the dollars, right? We need to make money. We need to pay payroll. We need to, and I get it. But pretty fast, you understand that making more money is not going to get you the real feeling that you want to feel as a human being. So I think it's important to think about both of them. Like, yes, I have the financial goals. I want to buy a house. I want to buy a boat. I want whatever it is that you want to achieve in your business. But don't forget the fulfillment part. Do something that is impactful. Do something that you love to do. Do something that you actually making the environment, helping the people around you achieve higher goals. This is when you get to the point that you find the fulfillment in the business that you're in, plus the financial success, this is a win. But when you just find the financial success 5 years, 10 years after, you're going to feel the emptiness. And you're going to be at the point of like, okay, I thought that this is the goals and this is the big thing that I want to achieve, but I'm still feeling this emptiness. I have all this money in the world, but I feel like I didn't do something right. And we see it very often as well, right? So that's why we keep when you ask us about people that want to join the franchise, we want to see that they have some passion in being there for people. We want to see that they have some level of passion in, yes, I want to build a great team. There's something bigger than just the financial success in the business. And that usually bring people to create the right culture, take their time, create processes, keep scaling the company year over year, right? So yeah, I think it's important to look at all of it. And I think today in the world, with all the opportunities out there, there's no reason for somebody to build a business and not be able to have the financial success and find the fulfillment.
It's just a matter of knowing what that is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta have a plan. Gotta think long term. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, I really, really enjoy, both of your perspectives on business, on scaling, on personal growth. We are getting a little bit closer to our time, so I want to ask each of you individually. We've talked about the business side, but what is the thing that drives you personally? Is it a particular habit that you keep that you'd like to share potentially, or something that keeps you going and on mission, so to speak? And we'll start with you, Mira. I'd love to know what drives you personally.
Um, to me is truly to see my impact, right, on the world. So I have 2 children, 17 and 19. And with all the craziness that's going on every day when I wake up, I think, what can I do to leave a better world for them? So that's really how my day starts and how my day ends. And that's why you keep hearing about the mission all the time. So that's what it is for me, right? Is to have more unity, is to have more empathy, is to be human, is to see each other, is to listen to each other. And that's my mission, right? Every day. So whether if it's working with people at HQ or whether working with a franchisee or whether, a happy client, that means the world to me. And my hope is that the spark will spread, more and more. And it's, it starts from us and it's going to be, out there, in the world. So that's really what drives me every day and the reason that I do what I do.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's a bright spark. I will say that. So I know that, I see it. I'm sure that anybody that's listening can see it too. So I appreciate you sharing that. Idan, how about you? What drives you personally?
Yeah, so Miri said it beautifully. I'll just add, and I think she kind of covered, is seeing people really finding their success in life. And that's the financial part and fulfillment, right? When we get a call from franchisee or anybody else that we work with, or people people that work on our team and see them achieving new goals, new fulfillment, they're seeing for their own experience, wow, that can be done. Like, wow, I can reach that goal. That's, for me, it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's why so many of us are in business, right? And I love the growth you guys have had. I can't wait to see what's in store for both of you in the future, because I know it's going to be great. So really, really appreciate the time that both of you have spent and pouring into our business community, because I know that there's so much value that people get out of the conversation and the journey that you guys have had so far. So
Thank you.
thank you again, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for
Really
having us.
appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I do have to do all the podcast stuff. This is typically where people skip and they go on to the next episode, or they write down the notes. But if you guys enjoy the conversation, make sure that you follow the show. Let us know what you think. We will absolutely have all the information for Miri and Idan in the show notes, so you guys know how to get a hold of them, how to reach out if you want to find out more information about 911 restorations, and give them a shout. Make sure you follow and connect, because if this was an inspirational, then maybe that spark that needs to be shared is you, if you're out there listening. So keep in mind too, this is a full network of shows that we have, not just Small Business Chronicles. So if you guys enjoyed this conversation, chances are you might also like some of our other shows within the network. So you can see all of that at smallbusinessdelivered.com. And until next time, make sure you guys are out there keeping the entrepreneurial spirit alive. No matter how small your business may be now, keep in mind that you have a big story to tell. So I'm looking forward to another story in business next time. See you then.